I am so happy right now and excited because, well, hello, it's Alicia. Welcome to the Eat to Me podcast. Let's start there. How about that? But I am really just excited and happy, like all the feels, because I have Shawnnell Batiste back here on the podcast. If you didn't listen to our first conversation, please go back. It is episode 66, and the title is Therapy in the Black Community. Shawnnell is just she's just such an amazing person,
Thank
and
you.
just an amazing spirit. And so I'm just so glad you are back here on the podcast. Thank you for tuning. What I'm saying, for joining me today.
Yes, 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 yes. It's how excited we are.
Right?
And I was excited to, for you to invite me back. And like we had a great time last time, and I told you anytime, and I mean anytime. You
Um,
know, like yeah. Thank you for having me again.
you are so welcome. And I was saying to her before we actually hit record. I was like, it's so important for us, particularly as Black people, to really hone in on our mental health, given everything that's going on in the world right now.
Hmm.
And for those of you that might feel like, oh, well, I'm not a Black person, whatever. I mean, this still can relate to you, or it might
Oh
not,
yeah.
but still, just take a listen. But like,
Hmm.
what we know as Black people is a lot of times we mask how we're feeling, how
Absolutely.
we're just kind of navigating life because we don't want to look like we are like losing it, or we've never been even instructed on
Hmm.
how it
How to?
is to like
There you go.
address our mental health. So
Hmm.
for those of us that are still like in that wave of like really figuring out what or how we even manage our mental
Hmm.
health or even understand what that is, how can we even just like start with just those little
But
pinpoints at
mhm.
this point, given everything that's going on in the world?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and people, I don't say this just as a willy nilly person. Like, I'm a
Mm.
Black woman living a Black experience.
Yep.
I'm a mental health therapist living a Black experience and talking to people who live this experience, right?
Right.
Because my specialty is marginalized and disenfranchised folks, right?
Right.
And so again, not just covering Black folks, covering LGBTQ, other disenfranchised communities
Right.
especially, right? And what I am seeing right now is people who are coming and saying, I can't keep masking. I
Mm.
can't keep covering it up. I'm tired. I'm breaking
Yep.
down. I don't know what else to do, but I'm sick of this, right?
Right.
And that's kind of what happens when you get into a depression, right?
Yeah.
I heard Jim Carrey call it deep rest instead of depressed, right?
Right.
And even when he explains it, it's like when you are tired of wearing the mask, when your body and your mind and your spirit is like tired of pretending that
Hmm.
everything is okay, right?
Right.
And so it goes into this deep rest, right? That you have to like bring yourself out of, and the point of that is to bring your true self out,
Yes.
right?
Right.
We are created in such a way that we have everything in us and around us in nature to heal us, to make us
Mm.
better, to help us be better. But we've been hypnotized in a way, or like, like
Yeah.
conditioned in such a way that we reach everywhere else except inside to find the answer, when the answer is right inside, right?
Right. Right.
And so I feel like part of my job as helping people on their journey is to get them to see that part of themselves,
Yeah.
appreciate that part of themselves, right? You cannot control what's going on in the world. And
Right.
then when people come to me with it, and I had one of my couples came to me with it, and they happen to be a lesbian couple. So and I'm surrounded by LGBTQ. I'm a part of the community. So like,
Right.
you know, and so the talks of, oh, I'm not going to, if this Project 2025 thing happened, I'm not going to be
Yes.
able to access this or that, or this is the, and I was like, people, this been going on. It's just we can see it now. The
Yes.
veil is up, right? There's
Yes.
nothing that hasn't been happening the entire time, right? But
Right.
what are you able to control? I control my response. I can control me. I control my, how I manage it. I refuse. I did a TikTok about it. So I was like, I refuse to walk around miserable because the world is falling down.
Yes.
Because I'm not a
Yes.
part of that. I'm not a
Hmm.
part of that. Right. So
Right.
I'm going to make a choice, which is again why I name my practice choosing empowerment. You have to choose it. It is
Mm.
a literal choice not to live in that.
Yeah.
Now, is it easier said than done? Absolutely, because
Right.
we're conditioned, right?
Right.
I work on poverty and lack mindset all the time because I grew up that way. That's how I learned, right?
Right.
So when my bank account hit a certain amount, I'm like,
Yes. Yes.
but I have new skills now. So I have to remind myself, you know how to make money. You know, money is energy, it's flowing to you. You got to have a right attitude.
Yes.
You just do the things that you know you need to do. You know, so I go repeating those things, you know, get into my mantras and whatever affirmations I have to remind myself
Right.
that you're like, you're okay. You're
Yeah.
okay. You are not suffering from lack, right? And
Right.
that's part of the gratitude that's incorporated into that too. If I focus on what I have and what I don't have, rather than what I don't have,
Right.
then instantly I'm better.
Yeah.
Like I'm better because like I might not have X amount in the bank, but I'm living in a house and I got a desk and I got a bed and I got covers to cover me up. Like I can count 1,000 things
Right.
that I do have. So let me focus on
Right.
that. Let me focus on the
Right.
fact that I do have it. Right.
And thank you so much for pointing that out because I feel like, and I fall victim of this too. Like when it comes to like looking at social media, looking at
Hmm.
just media in general, like I get so engulfed in it that it takes me away from all the joy that is around me and all the
Yes.
blessings that are around me. And so I don't know if like some of your clients that you're working with, are there tools that you offer them in terms of like managing, like how to
Hmm.
like really differentiate what we're seeing in media as it
Hmm.
relates, and not even so much what we're seeing, because we're seeing this, whatever,
Yeah.
but even to the point of like, okay, maybe you should find some other things to
Oh,
do. Like
absolutely.
how do we like pull away from that? Because I feel like that's like our only like source of like, I'm speaking for me. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
everybody knows, it's
Hmm.
like it's my go-to. I wake up,
Right.
I'll do my prayers, my meditations, and in the
Hmm.
back of my mind, I'm thinking, about, what's going on in the
Right.
world? I gotta get on TikTok and
Hmm.
see what the hell's happening. So,
Hmm.
like, how do we start reframing that as opposed to like letting that be our first
First
thing
thing. Right.
that we go to?
So first, I'm gonna give you some props and praise for saying you're doing your praise and meditation first thing before you
Right,
jump into that, because that's the
right,
key too. The first thing we do in the morning, and the last thing we do at night is what our mind is like focused on, right, and
right,
stuff like that. So it is important what you put in your head and what you're allowing to digest in yourself
right.
during those times or whatever. But it does start with removing yourself from the things. I too seek social media to get my news, right? Because
Yes,
I can't trust Fox, like
that part.
and
That
all
part.
that, So once you learn, okay, the way they're lying anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna go to TikTok. I'm gonna, and
Right,
all that stuff. It's hard for people to tear themselves away from it because again, that's how I get my information and
right.
stuff like that. But I also recognize I don't need that every day. I know what it makes me feel
Mm,
like when I'm engrossed in it for a while. I'm careful even when I'm doing marketing and all that because I've been, I need to do my TikToks or whatever. So if
right.
you go in there to do your thing, you got to scroll first,
Exactly.
see what's happening first, right? Next thing, like suppose about 3 hours later, uh, every time. So now I'm learning to record what I need to record, but without going on that didn't go on there and post it, right?
Right,
So like using strategies to keep yourself from being engrossed in it because it's natural for you to soak into the bad news and of course there are also people that are justice minded and like, will save this place and donate here or use this thing to do this.
hmm,
And that's all great stuff and all that. And I'm not telling anybody you should ignore what's happening. No, you should be aware. Of
right.
course, be aware. But don't allow that awareness to soak into your spirit,
Hmm.
right? Like it's gonna
Right.
affect you as it is, but if you let it infect you, that's a whole different story. You're gonna be sad.
Wow. Yeah.
You're just gonna wake up sad. I remember I did that during COVID. I
Mm.
woke up every morning. The first thing I went to go see is how many people was dying.
Yes.
Like that's messed up.
Yeah.
Like how many people did they kill now, right? And
Yeah.
all it was doing was instilling fear. And that's
Right.
what those stories, that's what the things are meant to do. Like fear is a low vibration, right?
Yep.
It's just one of the lowest fear and shame, like at the bottom of the vibration scale. We're trying to reach love and authenticity way at the top, right?
Yes.
So you can't engross yourself with the things. You can have compassion. You could, pray for them. You can, donate to causes that you know are helping. You can do all of
Right.
those things or whatever. But at the end of the day, you need to keep your spirit up. You
Right.
got to keep, because that's how you're gonna help them too, right? Because if we
Right.
all can vibrate high together, then we can make change, right?
Right.
So the goal there is to for media in itself is to keep us in this low vibrational spiritual just right.
Right. Right.
We all walking around like that. We ain't gonna do nothing to help. We're gonna feel just gonna be sad, right?
And it's so true because I feel like too, even down to like the stuff as it relates to the election. I
Hmm.
mean, even though people have like everyone has their feelings about it,
Right,
right? Like
right.
it's whatever, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like even with whatever wherever you are on the spectrum of like who you're going for, or whatever, I
Right.
still feel like there's a low vibrational
It is.
frequency
It
that is
is.
still encompassing this, regardless of where you
Well,
are in this
yeah,
whole thing.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
and it's like even with that, it's like how do you still rise above
Hmm.
knowing that this is our country is in the situation that it's in? You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
Like how do
Absolutely,
we move past that?
absolutely. You
You
know,
know?
now personally, I don't care. I just have an attitude of I don't care.
I'm
That
with
has
you.
nothing to do with me. I don't control the outcome of any of that. Even if I had 10 million votes and can vote 10 million times, they're gonna do
Hmm.
what they choose to do, right?
Right.
And all
Right.
that. And I have accepted that as fact, as real, right?
Right.
When when we started, and I also feel like just me personally, that Kamala was even thrown in and Biden stepped down because there wasn't enough hoopla. Nobody was
Right.
caring. It was
Right.
like it's the orange man against the old man. It is what it is, right? And all that. So like, and stuff. And so there was not enough fear happening. There was not enough hoopla. There was not enough emotion being drawn up and
Right.
to cause a ruckus. So, oh, I know what we're gonna do. We'll drop him out. We'll jump her in, right?
Right.
And all
Right.
that. We jump her in, then we're gonna cause a split between the community and talk about her race and what she
Right.
is and what she not. What does it matter? What does it
Right.
matter?
Right.
We already had a black president that ain't all the way black, right? Like so,
Like what are we
why is
doing?
this an issue, right?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and even with that stuff, I wonder how we went from if you got one black drop of black blood, you're black, and now all of a
Right.
sudden you ain't black enough. Like what happened
Right.
to the drum one drop rule? Like
Right. Exactly.
So I'm like, you making a ruckus over what? Over
Right.
what? What does that part matter, right?
Right.
We have moved completely away from whatever the issues are. Even when they talked about that debate, it was like two kids playing on the playground. But they might as well have been your mama. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because it's like this person ain't, this person ain't shit. Like, what's the
Right.
issues we trying to address? Like,
Right. And I
I
think that's
don't
a
care.
right. And that's I am so glad you said that because that's literally where I'm at with it. And I have been doing my best, like you said, to
Hmm.
kind of just I don't know if you just said that, but I've been just kind of like trying to observe what is happening
Yeah, that's it. Just
and really
observe it.
take in like what are y'all really saying?
Yeah.
Because I think if you get so like you said and initially at one point you said if you get infected, you're talking about the social media stuff,
Yeah.
you can infect
Yeah.
yourself with all
Yeah.
this stuff, and it's like it's more so just really stepping out of it, not putting your emotions in it.
Yes.
At least that's what I feel like, because I feel like
Yes.
the more emotion you put in it, the more you're gonna just kind of like put yourself in a whirlwind,
Yeah.
and you're driving yourself crazy. Meanwhile, these people, this
They
is
doing whatever they do.
right, right,
Like
right.
like I can't focus on what I need to, my business failing because I'm worried about this thing, or I can't sleep at night because I'm worried about. Like, stop worrying about that.
Right.
What's within your? I am more concerned about my local election than I am about that one.
Exactly.
Because these are the people that can, cause change in my community immediately right now. They are
Right.
voting for that stuff. They are implementing those things, right? So like you said, it's a matter of getting yourself out of it, and that's what
Right.
they're trying to provoke emotion. So don't give them none.
Right.
They use that emotion as fuel, right?
Mm.
And all that.
Right.
And if we don't fuel the car that they're trying to drive, then we can reserve that to use for ourselves, right?
Right.
The
Right.
things I can control, I'm gonna control. The things that I can't, fuck it.
Right.
I have to
Exactly.
let go of those things that don't really concern me. And especially as a spiritual being, right?
Yes.
As a spiritual being, that literally has nothing to do with me,
Mm.
because I'm not conforming to the things of the world. I'm living my spiritual life. I'm living my spiritual
Exactly.
self. How can I help the next person? How can I stay on track with what the purpose and plan for my life is and all that?
Yes.
Like, I'm
Yes.
at grassroots level. I'm seeing people individually in groups, and I'm trying to help people with their spiritual selves on this level. I ain't got time to
Right.
be worrying about that stuff, right? And
Right.
so that means being intentional. I have to, again, like we said, I have to be aware, because like that's ignorant to not be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. You can't protect yourself if you're not aware, right?
Right.
And all that. So it has to be a balance of I get what I need to get. If I start feeling the ick, the ill, the fear, if fear started taking hold, I leave it alone. I stop talking.
Yeah.
And people, y'all know about algorithms. We all know
Yes.
about
Thank you.
algorithms, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Now that you know about algorithms, change your algorithm. When too
Hmm.
much bullshit start coming up on my feed, I change my algorithm. I
Yep.
search the thing that I'm interested in, and I
Yep.
start liking and commenting and sharing and all that, because that tells the algorithm that's what I'm interested in. I
Right.
change my algorithm all the time.
Right.
Sometimes it's black power, sometimes it's mental health,
Right.
sometimes ADHD, like whatever I'm
Right.
into that particular day, week, or whatever it is, what I want coming to my feed, I control that now, right?
Right.
And when stupid stuff come up, I'm like, no, I ain't interested in that,
Right.
and we accidentally mess up the algorithm because we either angry about something or we like something too much or whatever,
Yep.
something
Yep.
racist came up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's messed up,
Right. Right. Exactly.
or
Exactly.
and then there go the algorithm. Next thing you know, I'm like, wait, let me get back to my enlightenment stuff. Okay, let me find, and stuff
Right.
like that. So like, again, take control of use the system that they have in place. Once you
Hmm.
know the rules of the game, then you change it for yourself. So I control what my algorithm looks like now.
That is beautiful. Like literally, that is beautiful because I think, and maybe some people don't even realize the whole idea around the algorithm because I feel like sometimes I'll forget to actually go up there and actually start changing what I'm seeing because
Yeah.
you get so caught up and it's just like before you, like you said, 3 hours later,
Later. Yeah,
you
you mad? You like social injustice? I need to.
exactly. and
Mhm.
and it's all within our control, and I think sometimes you feel like you're not in control
Right.
because you've been doom scrolling for hours and
Exactly.
hours and hours, and it's like
Exactly.
take that control back
Back. That's
and
it.
know you don't have to constantly be in that particular, I guess, world of that
Exactly.
algorithm. You can
Hop
go, like you
out
said,
of
go
it.
back to your enlightenment stuff, like
Yeah.
go to something that's going to lift
That's
you
gonna
up. And
feed you good
yes,
stuff, right?
yes,
If I'm gonna purge out the bad stuff, I'm also not gonna leave that space empty. I'm gonna pour in good stuff.
yes,
Who is out here spiritually bound? Who is gonna pour into me? Who gonna be speaking knowledge and speaking life? And that's what
right,
I'm looking for so I can keep myself lifted.
right,
Otherwise, that's gonna affect every other aspect of my life,
right,
right? It's going to
right,
affect how I treat my kids, how I do my business, and all that. So I need to be in a certain space, right?
right,
So I need to control that space,
right.
and understand like these people have done research, extensive research on how the brain works. They know how the brain works.
Right.
They know how the brain works, right?
Right.
They did a study to figure out that, because how on some social medias we used to scroll sideways or swiping, right? They
Right.
figured out scrolling upward give you more dopamine. So let's make everything so not everything is scroll up,
Wow.
scroll up,
Wow.
right? Just like they do research to figure out put the cereal at child's eye level. All grown folk cereal is up here, and all the colorful stuff is at eye level for kids, right?
Right.
It's all
Right.
psychology, right?
Right.
But once you learn that, then you do better, right?
Exactly.
I don't go down the cereal aisle. And now I know cereal has zero nutrition. So I'm not going down the
Right.
cereal aisle to even tempt myself. Because Fruit Loops do taste good, but they're not good for me. So how I'm gonna change that? I'm not gonna expose myself to the cereal aisle at all.
I love it. No, I love that because I feel like for the longest time, it's so funny you mentioned that because I loved cereal for the long, like I was,
It's oh my God.
and they put all the stuff. It's fortified. This,
Yeah, they add
iron.
all the, and grains and it's all bad.
All bad. And it's like, who knew? Like all my life,
Yeah,
for up until probably like I'd say about 10 years ago, like
right.
cereal was like my thing.
Thank you. It's still
But
my daughter. It's my daughter's comfort food. So I know when
mm,
she's dealing with some things, she come home with some cereal, and
cereal,
she's
right?
aware too that
Exactly.
it's nutritionally naked. I was like, and the other day I joined her in the bowl. I was like, make me some of that. non-nutritional meal right there.
Right.
Let's eat empty meals because it make me feel good. It crunch. It tastes like refined sugar. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all great.
Listen, I hear you. And that's the thing is like you said, once you know better, you do better. I mean, sometimes you're gonna have a
But
bowl of
you're gonna
cereal,
revert back.
whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna revert
But
back.
you
Yeah.
know now you are
Take a while.
aware.
You're aware though,
You're
right? So
aware.
now I'm not eating 5 bowls of cereal. I'm not eating a bowl of cereal every morning,
Okay. Listen.
and stuff like that. Like, and as you're changing habits, like it takes time to change habits.
Right.
Right? It takes time to change habits. Like last month I was doing a lot of grieving. I had to let go of a friend and all
I'm
that. And we just
sorry.
grew apart.
Yeah.
They didn't pass
Yeah.
on, but we just grew apart. It was just time.
Right.
Transition time and all that. And it still hurts, right? And all that
Right.
when you lose a person that's important in your life and all that. But it was almost like this spiritual thing, where my body was purging. I kept getting sick and,
Mm.
and all that. And it was a whole reset for my system because every time I ate something new, and something that I usually eat, my
Right.
stomach was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't
Mm.
like that. Right. And it just
Wow.
started evacuating. Right. So the only
Right.
thing it would hold was fruit. And I was like,
Wow.
well, I did say I wanted to like change my diet and,
Right.
I
Right.
ain't wanted to come violently, but thank you, I guess, and stuff.
Right.
Now over time I've started eating like the pizza, but I've realized I'm not eating as much. I dropped 10 pounds,
Right.
and stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, if you're gonna use this for a reset, then use it for a reset, right? And
Right.
start introducing the good stuff to your body. That don't
Right.
mean I still don't want my chocolate. That don't mean I still didn't eat
Okay.
chocolate, like
Listen.
and all
Yeah.
that. But because I'm conscious of it now,
Right.
and with the help of my body rejecting certain things that just making me feel bad, now
Mm.
it's a little bit easier to eat less of it, right? Or I get
Right.
just that taste, and I'm like, "Ooh, that was good,
Right.
But I'm still now I'm going hard on my fruits and my vegetables
I love it.
and all that kind of stuff or whatever, and I feel better. I feel
Right.
better, right? And so
Right.
that's the reward for doing that and all that. But when I get stressed, I still want my chocolate. My whole family has
Right.
started vaping and all
Right.
that. And we got one
Right.
vape left that we sharing between all of us. And I'm like, when this one is gone, it's over. Not
When it,
buying no more,
right. Right.
and
Right. No, I
stuff.
love
So
it. I
like,
love it.
so taking advantage of those moments and those times to just make small changes, right?
Right.
And even my therapist who does relationship with food stuff, right? And she was
Yeah.
like, introduce a thing. Don't take stuff away. Introduce the new stuff, right? And all
Okay.
that. And you can do the same thing with anything with the social media, with anything that we're
Yeah.
trying to change. Then okay, you might not have enough strength or whatever it takes to stop looking at the bad stuff, but start
Right.
introducing new stuff though,
Right.
right? Because the
Right.
body, the brain, the spirit, all of it is always trying to maintain homeostasis, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you just introduce a little new, like start walking, yeah, it's gonna
Mm.
naturally balance itself out. And I did
Right.
that the last time I tried to do this intentionally. I just started eating avocado. I got on TikTok, found this lady and I love her because she hardcore when she talking to you, right? And that's my jam. Like no bullshit, like yeah, and all that. And so she was
Right.
selling like meal plans to like like get off of sugar and starches,
Yeah.
all the BS, right? And stuff. So I bought one of the little plants. She had them on sale. I'm like, all right. And I looked at the menu and I was like, okay, one thing that's like consistent is avocado. All right.
Mm.
Avocado every day. It's a healthy fat. We keep saying it's a healthy fat, it's a healthy fat.
Right.
But I didn't like avocado.
Mm.
Right. And
Okay.
so I'm like, how I'm gonna do this, right? But I'm also learning about the brain and how it works, right? And stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, it's repetition, words matter,
Yeah.
and all of that. I just got to use what I know now. Now that I know this information
Mm.
about vibration and words and how it affects our brain and our spirit and the water in our body has memory, so it's holding those things, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, every day I woke up, I was like, I love avocado. Every day, I love avocado. Avocado was delicious. I love avocado, y'all. They got tired of me around here. Guess what?
Right.
We know you love avocado. I love avocado, right? But I was tricking my brain, right? And then I
Right.
started buying the avocado and started eating it. But then I had to figure out why I didn't like it because avocado don't have much taste. You got to
Right.
add stuff to it. So I was like, why don't I like it? But it was texture. It was texture. I
Mm.
didn't like it when it got too mushy and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I started cutting it when it was firm and
Right.
slicing it up. Then I found a good little, seasoning that wasn't full of salt and junk and all
Right.
that. And I put that on it. Now I can eat the avocado. And I really love the avocado,
I
right?
love it.
But I
Yeah.
learned over time And my girls called it out to me. Mama, you ain't been sending us to the store for a Snicker or a turtle or a
Wow.
symphony bar. And I was like, God, I haven't. I said, I
Mm.
think the avocado's replacing the fat that I was trying to get from that, right?
Right.
And stuff
Yeah.
like that. Now regard to now there's twofold though. That it was taking care of the fat part that my body is craving, but the dopamine that I'm getting from the chocolate though
Right.
is a different story. So
Right.
sometimes I did have to have a piece of chocolate, right?
Right.
Sometimes I did have to just feed that dopamine right quick. But I wasn't eating the whole. When I used to buy a symphony bar, bro, it was the big one. It was the gigantic one.
Yes.
And I would
Yes.
mainline it like piece
Yes.
after piece after piece subconsciously. And now if I get one, I get the more normal size bar. And I can eat 2 squares and I'm good. I can put it away
Right.
and I'm good. And all
Right.
that. So it changed the behavior, right? I was able to
Mm.
get the taste on my tongue, feel good about it, and then keep moving, right?
Right.
And all that. And so setting realistic goals is another good thing too, right?
Yes.
I don't have a weight loss goal. I have a
Right.
health goal. I have an
Yes.
activity goal. I want to
Right.
walk upstairs without having labor breathing. You know,
Okay.
I want to be able to walk the grocery store without my knee hurting. So I need to get rid of inflammation in my body in order to do that,
Y-
right?
Right.
And
Right.
so, taking the pharmaceuticals can get rid of pain for a moment, but it's a temporary fix for a bigger problem. I need
Right.
to change what I'm putting in my body that's causing the issue, that's causing the pain, right?
Right.
And all that. So I started doing the research for all that, and it's hard. It's hard to figure out the supplements. It's hard to figure out what to eat, afford what to eat,
That part.
and all
That
that,
part.
But just a little bit at a time, just a
Right.
little bit at a time. And so
Right.
I'm better today than I was yesterday. I'm better today than I was a year ago or 2 years
Mm.
ago.
Yes.
Like during snowpocalypse, I couldn't walk. I
Mm.
couldn't walk because my knees had
Wow.
swollen up so bad from the winter air and all that kind of stuff or whatever
Yeah.
and all that. But like, look, 4 years later, like I
Right.
can walk, right? I can walk.
Yeah.
And my kids like, you ain't even walking with no limp. Like, what's up? you know.
Right.
So I'm getting my sexy walk back, right? And stuff. So so if it's something if it's not benefiting you,
Mm.
and we know it's not benefiting us. And it's hard to
Yeah.
change habits. It's so hard to change habits. We
Yeah.
can't keep putting masks on and pretending like everything is okay because it's not
Right.
okay.
Right.
It's not okay. How can I make it okay?
Right.
How can I start making it okay?
And I love that. And I love the fact that you brought in the whole idea of changing habits as it relates to food too. Because I think some people forget like even our moods and our mental health are
All is
affected
connected.
by food and what we're
Yes.
consuming, you know? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know the actual article
Mm-hmm.
offhand, but there was something it was relating to I think it was like bipolarism and
Mm-hmm.
another a mental health concern, and they were determining that certain foods were really exacerbating those
Yes.
conditions. And they studied a few people and then like kind of like monitored their diet and then
Mm-hmm.
also looked at the effects of their mental
Okay.
health status. And it drastically changed by them
Yes.
changing certain things in their diet. And I was like,
Exactly.
that is amazing,
It's
you
amazing.
know?
It's amazing. That's why I say everything that we have on this earth is here for us,
Yeah.
right? And stuff. So I did the same thing with that where what foods help with depression, right?
Mm, yeah,
And
yeah.
they're like, if you take a handful of cashews every day, I'm like, I love cashews. like sincerely. Not like I
Right.
love the avocado, but I love cashews, right?
Right.
And stuff. So what do I okay, well I'm gonna start buying some cashews and having a handful every day. Of course I'm gonna have
Right.
more than a handful because I love them. But
Right. 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 Right.
but
Right.
I know that this helps. So I'm
Mm,
gonna utilize this thing, right?
right.
And all that. So and like I have ADHD, right?
Right.
And so I am fully aware too of like the heavily processed foods, the ramen noodles and hot dogs and all that. That's horrible for ADHD. You
Mm,
know, um,
right.
certain red the red dyes and yellow dyes that they put in all the things and all that stuff
Right.
like that. Horrible for it. It mess with the brain. Something awful, right?
Right.
And all that. So okay, well now I'm aware. Well, if I'm gonna eat cereal, I'm gonna have to have Frosted Flakes and not Fruit Loops because it got the red dye, right?
I gotta pick my poison,
I'm
for
picking my
real, for
poison,
real.
right? and all that, and I
Right.
watch some. I follow this guy. I can't remember his name right now. And again, speaking of deciding what your algorithm is going to be,
Right.
again, you can put it on people who are nutritionists or they studying this stuff or what. You ain't got to do the research yourself. Just follow the people who do it.
Right.
But this particular guy, he's a black guy. And he talks a lot, like you can tell, like he do his work, right,
Right.
and stuff like that. And he was talking about, the fact that like he has a farm or whatever that he grows organic fruit and this and that or whatever, whatever. And
Right.
he's like, here's the deal: nothing's completely organic and pesticide and all that and toxin free, right?
Right.
Because we got crap coming out the air, right? We live in a poisonous
That part.
environment, period.
Right.
The air
Right.
you breathe is poisonous. But
Right.
the least amount you can get in your system will help, right?
Mm.
Because
Right.
I had that thing too, like, well, if organic really ain't organic, then I might as well eat the junk, right?
Exactly. What
And
are we doing?
or you'll say stuff like, I know organic is more expensive than the other stuff. Buy
Right.
organic when you can.
Can. Mm.
When you can, right? And so
Right. Right.
a little bit of something is better than none at all, right?
Right.
I'm still gonna have the junk that I have been conditioned to like,
Right. Right.
until I get myself out of that, right? And it's gonna
Right.
take time. In the meantime, I'm gonna do the best that I can, and I'm not
That
gonna beat
part.
myself up about what I can't do.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Every little bit helps.
Thank you. Thank you.
Baby steps are important.
Yes.
They
And I
get
feel
us
like it's so
started.
important to even be in that position. Like I said, just going back to like what we've been talking about in general, there's just so much going on in the world. You
Mm-hmm.
can only do so
So
much.
much, right?
It's overwhelming if you're trying to do all the things and still try to like survive whatever the hell we're
Thank you.
living in.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Yes, I'm telling y'all. Because, and like I had gotten caught up too in, I guess you could call end time stuff or whatever, like,
Right, right.
and all that. Because my kids tease me, use my trauma to
Mm.
prepare me for the worst, right? And all that. So,
Wow.
and we could take COVID and snowpocalypse, for example, right?
Right.
So I don't like running out of stuff that are basic need, right? Like
That's me.
toilet,
That's me.
right? Because I remember as a kid going to the bathroom and then there's no toilet
Toilet
paper.
paper.
It's a basic
Exactly.
need, people. I need to wipe my butt, right? And all that,
Right.
And then we searching for paper towels, and then we, actually using washcloths or whatever, right? And stuff like that.
Yes.
Also, growing up, lots of times the water was cut off, right?
Girl.
And
Girl.
so we learned, my mama would know when it was going to get cut off. And so there was preparation. Fill up everything that'll hold water,
Right.
fill up everybody take a bath tonight, but fill up the tub after we finish,
Right.
and so we knew what to do. You put the pot of water on the
On the
stove, and we
stove.
dip it
Yes.
in, we need to use, and all that, if mama got to go buy paper plates because we don't want to have to wash nothing, whatever we got to do to survive while the
Girl.
water comes off, right? Because of that, I stay in a mindset of preparing for the worst, right? So if
Yes.
when a bottle of anything is emptied around here, we fill it with water and I put it in the garage, right?
Right.
Stop. And they're like, you just stockpiling water. And every time I go to Sam's Club, I'm buying 2 and 3 cases of water. We gonna
Yep.
stockpile that, right? Toilet paper. Again, Sam's Club. When we get
Yep.
to the pack, that's the big pack. When we get to the big pack, that's just that one big pack, we out of toilet paper.
Okay.
We need to have an extra pack on top of that pack, right?
Right.
And all of
Exactly.
that. So there's double dishwashing liquid. It's double, like I gotta have extra, right?
Right.
And stuff like that. And again, that comes from the lack, that comes from the poverty, that comes from the
Mm-hmm.
trauma and all that stuff. Housing ever. You can talk enough stuff if you want to talk about me. But for COVID, you know who wasn't looking for toilet paper?
Exactly.
For snowpocalypse, you know who wasn't worried about water?
Right.
Because I'm ready for crisis, right?
Right.
And
Right.
all that. So like it is okay for you to prepare for it. I'm not sitting around worrying about it, right?
Right.
I'm not stressing. But when I got a little extra in my pay, I'm gonna go get something that's gonna help me just in case they decide we're gonna cut y'all off the grid. We
Right.
cut this water off,
Exactly.
right? Because I don't have control over how the water flow through that faucet. I don't have control over the how they do the lights. That is in their control. And if at some
Right.
point they choose to exercise that control, then
Right.
I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna eat,
Right.
and all that
Exactly.
kind of stuff. I buy solar powered all kinds of stuff, right?
Right. Right.
And all that.
Right.
So like, and I refuse to be a slave to the internet,
Mm.
right? And I
Yes.
watch like kids that grow up, people that's all they've experienced, right? And the
Right.
young people is like the internet didn't come out till I was in my 20s or something, right?
Right.
Close to
Right.
30 and all that. And so I knew how to live life before that. For people that
Right.
came after that, that's all they know, right?
Right.
So when we had that, what it was AT&T or something when the phone lines went
Yeah.
down that day
Yeah.
and stuff like that, people were freaking out. The day that Facebook and Instagram went out, everybody was having a holy
Losing
fit,
their minds.
right? And
Yes.
I'm like, well, let's read a book. Let me clean up something.
Exactly.
Like, I just
Exactly.
find something else to
To
do. Let me
do.
actually talk to people. And I saw a girl on TikTok that was like, oh, Facebook down. What we gonna do? I'm like, there's two of y'all sitting there. Let's have a conversation.
Have a conversation. Right.
Old school.
Right.
Let's go old school and talk to each
Right.
other face to
Right.
face right here, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't, those are things of convenience. Yes, we can do this right here because of the internet and because of
Right.
technology, and I appreciate it immensely, but it's not the be all end all. Right?
Exactly.
It's not the be all end all. And so and you don't have control over it. So
Right.
if somebody decides that the people that have control over decide they want to take that away, what are you going to do?
To do. Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
I prep for my water stuff. I was like, I have a little, propane gas stove thingy,
Right.
and I stockpile my stuff or whatever because I still got to eat. I still got to feed my family and all that kind of stuff. But we can
Right.
also go learn how to not have 15 meals a day, right?
Oh, yes.
Because
Yes. Yes.
again, now we're eating literally to live. So,
Right.
and,
Exactly.
and help people understand, like, it's all up here though. Like, it's all,
Mm.
and if you, no matter what you are trying to change or what you are trying to adjust, if you can get this part right,
Yes.
if you can speak life into yourself, if
Yes.
you can remind yourself you're worthy of things, if you can
Mm.
remind yourself that just say the words, I am healthy, I
Mm.
feel healthy, I do healthy things,
Mm.
I know I'm healthy, and keep
Right.
repeating those things to yourself, then your body will respond and act that way. And the
Right.
universe will send you the things that correspond with that, right?
Right.
It's just hard to get out of the subconscious, blindness that we walk in every day
Right.
because it's conditioning.
Yes.
Just like we condition dogs with treats, and sit
Right.
down, here you go, right?
Right.
They
Exactly.
know how to get that dopamine hit.
Right.
So you need to figure out, like, again, and a lot of it is really education, though. Like, it's
Yeah.
psychoeducation. It's learning the same things they learn to condition us. That's the same things we need to learn to recondition ourselves to the things that
Mm.
are valuable and will help us to grow and be better. You
Right.
know,
This is, first of all, thank you.
it
All
won't.
this, like, just beyond beautiful, because as you started talking about how you've prepared because of your trauma, I'm sitting there laughing because I was like, everything you said, that was my life.
Yeah, so,
Lights would,
yeah.
yeah, lights would go off, water go. You
I'm
said
telling
it
y'all,
was
so I know how to live by the sun, baby, because lights
okay.
should go off. You had to get that homework done. You had to get the stuff done before the sun went down.
Yes, yes,
And then you
and it's
have to
like
learn what to do when it did. We get to chill. We ain't got no TV.
right,
We ain't got no light or whatever. So
right.
we gonna talk or we gonna do something that we can do while it's dark.
Right,
Or you gonna go to bed.
exactly. Oh, okay. And that more times than not, it was me doing that, or I would light a candle and try to do my little crossword or color or
Yes.
something, whatever. But I love the fact that you said that your trauma allowed you basically to um, be in this space to prepare, and not so much
Yes.
out of like fear, but it's like I
No.
know what
Now
this
I
is
know.
like,
Yes. Yes.
and I think that's so beautiful to like shape that in that way, because I think some
Hmm.
people, and I was this person at one point, the traumatic things that happened to me, I would not prepare, or I would
Hmm.
revel in the trauma as opposed to being like, this was actually something it wasn't great that it
No, it
happened to
wasn't
me,
great, but it's
but
usable.
it was, thank you, it was useful. And I think that's where I think a lot of people, as it relates to trauma,
Hmm.
maybe, like I said, just start shifting the way you think and
Yeah.
feel about certain things. It's like,
Hmm.
yes, acknowledge the trauma, know that it was hurtful to you, but also, where was the lesson in all
Yeah,
of it?
what you get out of it? There's
Right,
always a lesson. There's
right.
always a lesson.
Mm,
If you can seek the lesson, like, your life
yes,
will change, right?
yes.
And in the field we call that reframing, right?
Mm,
You take a situation,
yeah,
and
yeah.
instead of looking at the bad parts of it, we're gonna see the good parts of it, right?
Right.
I even recognized when me and my friend was moving in together that our different the different traumas that we had was conflicting each other and all
Yeah.
that, because I was like, I was chucking stuff in the trunk. we in the rush, we got to get out of here. Let's chuck. And she's like, I feel
Okay.
like he was disrespecting my things, right? And I was like,
Mm.
well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel that way, right?
Right.
Um, and your things are important and they are valuable. But
Right.
because we are crunched for time, and you didn't pack at the time you were supposed to pack, we got to hurry and get out of here in 3 days, and all that.
Right.
Then what became more valuable was getting the stuff out of the apartment, right?
Right.
And all that. Now that's where my trauma come in, because we moved a lot. We moved a
Mm.
lot, and sometimes we had to move quickly, and sometimes
Right.
we had to leave stuff behind. So while I can respect that people have value in their things, and because she never had much,
Yeah.
like she valued her
Supposed to
things,
hold on. Right.
all that. And so, but my view started to become, because of the trauma of moving all the time and having to pick up and go. Sometimes I had to choose what was important to take.
Mm.
So if it was replaceable, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So sentimental stuff is more important to me. Stuff that
Okay.
has emotional value,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can't replace my journals for 5 years. Yeah,
Right. Right.
I have every journal I ever had since I was 12 years old. That's important to me. That's
Wow.
on the
Okay.
grab in case of fire list, right?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and all of that. That might come before my Social Security card, because I can get another card from the Social Security office, right?
Right.
If
Right.
it's
Right.
replaceable, then it can stay. It's not as
Mm.
important. And so, and of course, in my mind, I was treating it like that, right? I did
Yeah. Yeah.
apologize
Yeah.
to her because I didn't mean to devalue her things, you know.
Right.
But in my mind, we need to get up out of here. But what
Yeah.
also taught me in that situation, though, was she said, I don't know how to rent a truck. I know how to rent a truck. I know how to pack a truck. I know how to
Right.
drive a truck because of my trauma. You know,
Right.
I'm like, so moving ain't nothing for me, right? Now
Mm.
the negative part of me moving all the time is I wouldn't, what my ex father in law would say, I wouldn't nail my furniture nowhere, right? Because I wouldn't put stuff on the walls, because I, in my head, we were transitioning all the time, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
that's something that she taught me, because wherever she go, she'll make her space comfortable, right? Because she moved in with
Yeah.
me before we moved in together, and I was in that apartment for another 30 days. And she put her stuff on the walls. I was like, girl, we about to leave here in less than 30 days. What is you putting up stuff for? She was like, I need my environment to feel good. I was like, I bet. That's cool.
Right. Right.
And all that.
Right.
But I finally started again, and it's a mindset, right? But
Yes.
because I was always like, oh, we gonna probably have to move. We're gonna probably have to move. We're gonna probably have
Yep.
to move. I wouldn't put nothing on the walls. I wouldn't make the space my own. It's not my house. I'm renting it. So I'm not gonna be hanging stuff up and all that stuff. And so my house did not look all the way, that didn't reflect me, right?
Right.
And stuff like that. And then I started small. I started with tapestries, because take that down right quick. So I found tapestries that I liked, and I put them up on the wall and
Right.
all that
Right.
stuff. And I'm like, I like this, right? And
Right.
stuff, But when we moved into where we are now, well, she's not living here anymore, but
Right.
where I am now, I actually started I got books on the wall. I got, all the things, right? And
Right.
I actually started hanging my stuff, right?
I
And all
love it.
that. And it feels good. It
Mm-hmm.
feels good.
Yeah.
It also encourages me to pay my rent on time, because I'm like, I ain't about to take all this stuff down. I'll get this later. I'm money.
Exactly.
I'm vested. I'm
I
vested.
love.
Can I buy this house
Right.
for you at this point? Because I want to plant a garden. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm living now, right?
Right.
Whereas before I was renting spaces, but I was transitioning all the time.
Right.
Transitioning all the time.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, my mouth is wide open because I'm like, oh my God, like you have like basically opened up something in my mind as it relates to my living situation. So like when I moved to New York, I moved here as an actor
Mm-hmm.
and we were constantly moving.
Yeah.
And I was young, you know what I'm saying? And so, or we were getting evicted because
Right.
somebody
There you
didn't,
go. Yeah.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And that was something, and that's something I still do is where I live now because I'm married, like
Mm-hmm.
like my wife is really good about like trying to create like a home
Home.
space.
Okay. Okay. Good.
But for me, I'm like, look, at any moment,
We might have to get up and
we
grab.
might have to skedaddle.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I never equated that with how I
How much you
operate
was
in living.
transitioning. when you always and you'll find it
Wow.
even you'll even find it in how you do people and stuff like that. Like
Yes.
I went to 4 different colleges for my bachelor's degree because
Yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
afraid to jump ship and go somewhere else, right?
Right,
Again,
right,
part of a benefit, right? So the benefit is you're not afraid to jump. You're not afraid to get out there and start a
right,
new thing or try a
right,
new place or whatever. My people tease me all the time. You always live out of town because
right,
what we need to do, like,
right,
I'm notorious for chasing a Negro somewhere, right? I'm moving to Houston. What, baby, you want to move to Houston? Let's go. I went
right,
all the way to Minnesota,
right.
because and I was actually rebounding, but but I was like, we going to Minnesota? Let's go to Minnesota. It turned out well because
Right.
I found my boo there. So
I
I
love it. I
always say
love
I moved all the way up here just to find you. But
it.
I'm not afraid to do that. I'm not afraid to commute. Whatever we got to do, I'm not afraid of that. And because we move
Right.
around. Now the problem with that is you can also end up in a space where you're running. So
Mm.
I'm not afraid to leave because I'm running all the time, right?
That's
You
me.
know,
That is
or
me.
chasing, right? And
Yes.
all that. So there are people, and I learned this through Hurricane Katrina, that there were people in New Orleans who, because it's its own culture, it's its own country, right? And
Right.
all that, that people were afraid to move and leave New Orleans. And so they had a hard time in other places and spaces, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And all that. Some of us were like free and like I ain't moving back. I'll go visit. I love my people,
Right.
but I'm not gonna move back, right?
Right.
Other people needed to be there like a drug, right? They could
Mm.
not leave, right?
Right, right,
And it
right.
gives them anxiety to even leave town and all that
Mm.
kind of stuff. So you can get
Right.
stuck in the culture of a thing, right? And all that. So we had a culture of poverty. We had a culture of transition, a culture of, how we were living our lives. And
Right.
so that's what we taught our nervous system and our brains,
Mm.
right? That's what it
Wow.
learned. So transition is normal. That's our norm. So if
Right.
I promise you, if I was sitting in a place for longer than 2 or 3 years, I got an itch. It's like I needed to move. I feel antsy because I've
Yeah.
been here too long, right? And all
Yes.
that. The one thing that helped me mentally was when, after my depression and I came to Texas, I told my girls, because again, I didn't want that transitional life for them, but it was still happening, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so when we got to Texas, I said, we're not moving until y'all graduate. Y'all gonna stay at the same high school until
Yeah.
y'all graduate, because that's what helped me. When we finally got to New Orleans, back to New Orleans as a kid, I was in ninth grade, and I asked my mama, because I went to 10 different schools and all that.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew we was gonna keep transitioning while we was in New Orleans, right? So that
Right.
meant I was gonna bounce from school to school. And I was
Yeah.
like, can I please stay in my high school? I never got a
Yes.
chance to establish good friendships, or I would get good friends and then we would have to leave. It was worse than being in a military family,
Right.
and stuff.
Right.
And so I asked my mama that, and she was like, cool, we use your grandma address. That is your
Mm.
permanent school address because she's
Right.
in that school district and all that. And no matter where, we bounced all over the city. My mom, my dad to bring me back and forth to school or catch the bus, whatever it was.
Right.
But my grandmother's address was my address, and so I stayed at that school. So I was able
Right.
to establish relationships and bonds with teachers, and so I had
Right.
some sort of normalcy, I guess, right,
Yeah, yeah,
and all
yeah.
that, because that's hard. That is
Yeah.
absolutely hard, you know, and stuff.
Right.
And it's still why I think a lot of times I try to attach myself to, because I don't have a best friend I grew up with,
Yeah.
and stuff like
Yeah.
y'all have lifelong friendships. But the ones that I do have that are still solid from people that I know from high school, they're good because I was able to stay there those years,
I
right?
love that.
And stuff like that. So like there's a way for you to like flip that and twist that around, even if it's within the next generation or a child that you
Hmm.
know or whatever. So I did that my kids, that same, solid. And I was like, y'all staying at the same school, you
Right.
know, and all that. And now my youngest, who just made 18 and graduated, yay.
Oh,
Um,
yay.
I'm an empty nester, but I'm not. Because they ain't gone. Even the big one
Right.
back.
Right.
But I am the mother of adult children. Um,
Wow.
and now I can see in her relationships that even at a young age, right? She is way more enlightened than I ever could have been at that
Mm.
age, right?
Yeah.
She is very emotionally intelligent. She still act like an 18-year-old. Yeah, she do. She
Right,
like she
right.
know everything,
Yeah.
and stuff
Right.
like that. So she's still growing and transitioning. She got anxiety like nobody's business, right?
Yeah.
And all that. But I can be a support for her in that, for her getting out into the world and all
Right.
that. She got a best friend. She got a boyfriend that both are awesome fucking people, right?
Yeah.
Because she can choose well, right? And all that. She can dismiss the people that aren't good in her life. This is early to be able to do that. It's real
Yes.
early to be able to do that, right? I was picking
Yes.
horribly at that time, right?
Okay.
But
Listen.
that's how I know I broke cycles, right?
Yes.
That is the evidence that I broke cycles.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so funny because as we got to this point, that has been like your mantra. Like
Yeah,
you are the cycle breaker
cycle breaker.
therapist.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think it's so important for us, particularly as Black people, to really start looking at how we live
Right.
and know that, like we were just talking about, like we can laugh and joke about it. Like, yeah, we grew up sometimes the lights were off, the
Mhm.
water was off,
Yeah,
whatever. But it's like breaking those cycles and realizing like you don't have to live like that.
you
Like
have to
that
live like
doesn't
that.
have to
Nah,
be the norm,
no,
you
it
know?
doesn't. But it's up to us to change it,
I love it.
and I think people feel like it take a lot. It
Mm.
just take one small action at a time,
Yep.
a small gesture,
Right.
choosing to talk to your kid that one day instead of yelling at them,
Right.
listening instead of hollering, like
Right. Right.
and all
Right.
that,
Right.
because the
Right.
benefits you're gonna see out of that one interaction, you're gonna want to do it again.
Mm.
You're gonna want to do it again,
Right.
right? And I know life is frustrating. I have one client right now that like life is just frustrating. Everything is frustrating, and she's
Right.
lonely and trying to get my life together. And I got this
Right.
kid, and like he being a kid, And I have to remind her that he's like, that boy just get on my nerves. I said, he's acting out because he has needs that are not being met. You
Right.
can't meet his needs because you so stressed and all that.
Mm.
So are you willing to just choose to let go of some of that stress so you can be there for him? You said you don't want the cycle repeated. You said you don't
Right.
want him to feel like you feeling. You want better for him, which you can't control. You can't control whether his daddy there or not and
Right.
contribute. And no, you can't control the fact that he do need a father of some sort or a male figure
Yes.
because that's important for him. We'll figure that out as we get to it, right? So
Exactly.
right
Exactly.
now, put junk to the side that you
Mm.
can't control and spend time with your baby.
Right.
Remember, I just that he might need a
Because
snuggle. He might need your company for right now and all
right.
that. But I need you to be able to make the choice because it's literally a choice, and it's hard for people to get that. It's hard
Yeah.
for people to get that. That is literally a choice
Mm.
to change whatever it is that you want to change because all changes start up here.
Yeah.
Start with your mindset.
You are the bomb. Like
Thank you.
for she's like, thank you. I know. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Shawnnell, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. This was everything. Like
you
this
know,
beyond this made my month. I'm serious
and
because
every time I come back, I grow some more, so I have more stuff.
I love it. No, I love, and it just literally it gets better and better every time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And for those that are like wanting to like follow you and know, see what you're doing in the world,
Mhm.
where can people like find you? Social media,
So
website, take it
you can
away.
find me everywhere. Choosing empowerment. If you look up choosing empowerment, I fill up like the first page or something. I don't know,
You
but
really do.
if you look up my name, you'll find all things. But like I'm on all the platforms and all that. I do TikTok, I do the Instagram, I do all those things. We post affirmations all the time and things that make
Yes.
you feel good. I pull from every resource. If I hear it in a song, I'm gonna put it on the internet and be like, that's an affirmation right there.
Right.
Like
I love
all
it.
that. I'm not on TikTok as much as I would like to because again, I scroll and I get caught up. And it takes me too
Listen.
long to make a TikTok because I'm doing too much. But I do get on there and I'm getting more consistent. I have more of a team now and stuff because
Yeah.
again, business is growing and all that. If you're seeking therapy, we accepting clients. It's not
Right.
just me. I got a whole team of no bullshit clinicians
I
and
love
stuff
it.
like that. And not just in a I can't say therapeutic because for me everything is therapeutic, but not just a psychological or therapy center, whatever. Like we doing support groups. We got a anxiety group right now. We're looking to start more groups and stuff like that. But like you can
Right.
go to the website, choosingempowerment.com and find the things. And if you got questions, fill out the form for more questions. Don't call me though, because I'm gonna let you leave a message because I'm busy. But if you email me, I email you back. You know,
Right.
Maddie is my assistant and my director of operations, and she is awesome. The best little white girl I ever seen in my life.
I love it.
You know, which has also taught me to like I don't I can't not like all white people. I have to vet each one. Like I want them to do us, right? And
Listen,
all that.
okay.
But she is like a version of me in white skin, and she is amazing, right?
I love
I
it.
have a Hispanic lady who speaks Spanish. You want Spanish? You want any Spanish? We got that too. We expanding, baby,
Right.
and stuff like that. So, like, whatever it is that you are seeking, like, let's see if we can do it. Let's see, like,
Yes.
if it don't exist, I don't mind creating it,
Oh, I
like, for
love it.
real, So, choosing empowerment is where you find me.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much again. This was everything. Thank you.
Thank you, and I
Seriously.
appreciate it. I'm welcome. Come back anytime you want me back.
Ah, that makes me feel so good. So, yes, you will definitely be back. Y'all,
Absolutely.
thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Eat Me podcast. I'll see y'all next week
Y'all
for
choose to
the
have a
bomb.
great day.
Yes, I love it. See y'all.